I feel like a star, but only strictly where I'm famous. I'm in this for the longest haul, like we'll see where it takes us. I'm throwing back these double shots like whiskey here is weightless. Cause this career I chose was even riskier than Vegas, yo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Colby Rebel Show. I am your host, Colby Rebel, where my goal is to answer that question or make that connection. But we have a very, very special episode tonight, which I'm super, super excited about. I was on a podcast a few months ago where I had an opportunity to talk to two absolutely amazing women, and I really enjoyed it so much that it really sat with me, and I just really appreciated their vulnerability and their openness and really how I feel like they are changing the lives of many, many people who follow their own podcast. So these are two best friends, everybody, and they actually started their own podcast a few years ago during the pandemic, and it really has grown exponentially. And the podcast is called Excuse My Friend. And please welcome Julia and Alexis, everyone. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hi. We're doing good. Thanks for having us. We're so excited to be here. And that intro now. Thank you.
I really, and I mean it a lot. I think when we met, it just was very natural and it flowed easily. And I think that really is a testament to both of you, right? There is just an authenticness that I think both of you really have and a vulnerability that, just isn't easy, I think, in this day and age. But when we can be vulnerable, then we see the truth. We can experience the truth. So I just want to talk to you guys, figure out how you came together. How did this all happen? And we're going to also talk about your spiritual awakening and what does that mean, right? Because I know a lot of people, my students, my industry, we think of a spiritual awakening as coming into your higher place of meditative state. But sometimes it really is through a daily practice of living, learning, grounding, and understanding that. So first and foremost, tell me, how did you two meet? That's what I want to know.
Well, we met in the first grade. Yeah, so we've been besties for a very long time. Grew up together. Our families were friends. Our families were neighbors at one point, and we had this shared passion of performing. So we did community theater together. We would put on little concerts for our parents at Christmas. And so then we joined a country girls group. We did country music, moved to Nashville to pursue songwriting and music. And then when the pandemic hit, there was nothing going on. So we decided to document our lives on social media because we were bored. And that's when social media kind of took off for us. But yeah, that's the short version. But yeah, we've grown up together and lived together for like forever. 7 years. Yeah, her story is a little different than my version, to be honest with you. My version is that I saved an introvert, okay? I saw her and I was like, she's introverted. She's scared of everything. She's like a shaking chihuahua. Okay. So I was like, I've always just been outgoing and talkative and like love people. And she's been the opposite. And so
I was just the swings by myself.
Yeah. And honestly, it was actually my brother and her that met first. And kind of how like we connected. We always say like, you could potentially be my sister-in-law if that ever happened, which I refuse to let happen. But anywho, well, that's like the joke. I had like a small crush on her brother, and a few years ago I was going through my things and I found an old diary entry and it was like, who do you want to marry? And it said Chad Driscoll, so I sent her a picture. Can you imagine? We basically already are. We are, but that, yeah.
I love it. It's funny too. I met my best friend in the 8th grade, but also like you, I saved an introvert.
See, it's a thing us extroverts have to do. It's like we have to be saviors for these people.
To me, thank you.
For these kinds.
I think and really push them out of their comfort zone, right?
Yeah, I think introverts need extroverts, and extroverts need introverts. Yeah. Bring them down. I don't know if we need you, introvert. You need me. Kidding, yeah.
So I want to, as you've been doing the podcast, so it's been a few years now that you've been doing it. Have you found that both of you have grown within it, just maybe on all the topics, or what do we come up with, or what do we share? the interviews you do with others, do you feel that there's been soul growth for yourselves as you've been doing the podcast?
Oh yeah. I feel like before we were more performative. We weren't sure of how we wanted to show up on the podcast. You know, at the very beginning, I think we were like, oh, we want to be like this, we want to be like that. But for me personally, slowly, I'm like, okay, I need to sit in like who I am. Okay. And, you know, because authenticity, you know, you can really hear it in someone. You can really see it in someone. Yeah. So that's like my biggest thing. I'm like, we need to be more authentic than like showy and performative. So I'd say, yeah, I think it's forced me to like be real with myself. It's like my own little therapy, I feel like, because we share true stories that are very vulnerable. And like, I don't know, sometimes I go back and I'm like, should I have not said that? But I share things that no one knows. My family listens, and I'm like, you know what? If people don't hear this, maybe they won't like learn from the stupid stuff. I've done a lot of stupid stuff, you know? And I'm like, I think it's good for us. So I think nowadays with social media, you can be like, you can say, you know, whatever's on your heart, be whoever you want to be with like no apologies. You know what I mean? Right. So I think it's forced us to really be ourselves.
Do you guys ever find that something's not, like, does it ever feel like it isn't right or this not in alignment, and then you just kind of pull the plug on the episode or pull the plug on the idea of it?
Oh yeah, we've had a few episodes. We did one where we actually got into it because like we have such different opinions on things. And that's something we like to portray on the show is like, you'll get her opinion and my opinion, you know, and take what you want from that. And sometimes we go at it and we're like, okay, we got to stop because this sounds like two little kids in the backseat arguing. Let's pull this thing over. Yeah. I edit the podcast. I'm like such a control freak. And so I have to like edit it, but I listen back and I'm like, I just feel like this part isn't us. Like, it's not aligned with us. Like, why are we saying this? This isn't what we would normally say. And I feel like that's really important. But like Julia said, like in the last episode that's about to come out, I was like basically crying over something that's like kind of a thing for me. And I left some of that in there, which normally I wouldn't. But I feel like I've been trying to be more vulnerable and more open with things. And so that's interesting that you say that, because I left that little tiny part in, which is so like a big thing for me. Yeah, no, like, and like you said, like normally we're so showy. We come from that background as like theater, lights, camera, action. So the podcast is sometimes it's uncomfortable, but it's like sit with what we're going through and just talk.
Yeah, I think it is important for you guys because you're such influencers over a younger generation, especially, you know, young women coming up and women who I think maybe may not be the most confident. Right. I know for me, I may have looked confident in my 20s or 30s, but I probably wasn't. Right. I mean, now that I'm older, it's like, oh, this is confident. This is like, you know, but up until that point, you don't have it. So I think just being vulnerable or sharing the experiences or, you know, going through what you're going through, I think is important to share that with your audience. Otherwise, they think everything's perfect. Right. They do. They think every life is perfect. And it's not.
Yeah. No. And I struggled with that because I wanted to come off more like everything's perfect and everything looks good. So that was like a really hard shift for me to like be like, okay, I don't like myself right now and here's how I'm feeling and that's okay. Or like maybe I don't like how I look in this video and normally I would like not want to post it. But I'm like, okay, like we're not always gonna look perfect and be perfect. So that's been a journey for me.
Yeah. And that is hard. You know, us looking perfect or, you know, it is. I think all of that is difficult. I think for a lot of people. Right. So I did read too, which is interesting. I read that there is a shift. I think it was for TikTok that it's, you know, they're looking for more authentic, you know, influencers, right? They're tired of the salesy influencer. They want really authentic topics, authentic videos. So, you know, that is kind of interesting. And, you know, I agree. Bravo to that. But I kind of want to go into spiritual awakening as we were talking about, right? So what is spiritual awakening, right? Spiritual awakening is when we really become connected to our higher self, right? Your ego mind is really now in alignment with your higher self and understanding that. And that's what really kicks off leaning into your intuition, trusting your decision making, really getting a feeling when someone's not right for you or someone's not telling you the truth. And I know we kind of went on that a little bit when we met for your podcast, and I'll put the link in the show notes so they can go back and watch it. But I want to kind of know, do you feel doing the podcast over and over that your intuition has gotten stronger over the last few years? Have that something you've noticed or not noticed?
I think not so much with the podcast, but I think the older I get and the more life experience that I have and the more like bad choices I've made, I've become more like into trying to be intuitive, if that makes sense. Before I would like go through life and go through each day and just kind of live. And now I'm like getting older. I'm like, actually, like I'm so old, but I'm like, is there more out there? Like, I want to be a better person. Like, how can I really like, and I want to be more intuitive and like be able to like read people better because I go for the wrong guys. Like, I feel like I'm not there yet, but I'm really trying to like hone in on that. And my mom has that gift. Like, my mom can look at any picture of like a guy I like or a friend, and she is spot on. She'd be like, he has a dark past. Oh, she's a liar. Like, she just knows. I'm like, Mom, how do you like, she's like, it's just experience. And like, you just have to like get in touch with it. So I think like, not so much through doing the podcast. I think like meeting more people is helping me like read people and learn more. But I think just life, I think every day I'm trying to be in touch more.
Okay, so for me, I feel like I kind of in doing not the opposite, but I think I do too much of like reading the person or calling their bullshit, or I don't know. I think there has to be a balance for me because I think I swing more the other way too much.
Yeah.
I'm into everything and anything someone says or does.
You have that natural ability.
Yeah, and I don't know. So, but I think, with this podcast, it has opened up like a spiritual awakening for sure. And also I feel like I try to just be like super thankful for things. I feel like that's really helped me with my spiritual awakening, is like just kind of having like a gratitude list, manifestation list. So that's really helped. And yeah,
that's really important. I mean, that's really good, is to know that connection and really know, just understanding yourselves better. I want to know, Julia, why do you think you go for the wrong guy over and over?
That's something I'm still trying to figure out. I think it's because I don't look deeper in myself of like why. I think I'm more like in the moment of like, he's cute, this is fun, this feels good. But I think like taking a step back and being like, okay, like long term, what is this going to look like? Is this because I'm lonely or because he's like a good person? So I think I don't know. I think it stems from just insecurity and like wanting to be loved. And that's something that I'm really working on and spiritually, and just trying to like feel whole on my own, because I feel like you can't look for that in people because we're humans. We're going to disappoint. So I feel like you have to have like a solid like foundation of being like whatever spiritual route you take, but I feel like you got to be whole first there, and I'm trying to do that every day.
So. And what about you, Alexis? How's that love life going for you?
Oh, it's a rockin', my friend. I'm kidding. I'm joking. No, I have, again, I don't know why, but my view on like love and marriage, I have a hard time. I don't put as much stock into relationships or guys. I think I was hurt so badly over, a long time ago that I never want that feeling ever again. I think heartbreak is one of the worst. Yeah. And once I've had a feeling like that, I'm like, nope, I'm over it now. So I kind of like, I'm by myself. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm trying to figure out who I am, what I like in someone. They got some interesting Hinge guys though, and go from there. Yeah, but I don't like any of them. Because I find something wrong. We just prank call them.
Oh, well, that's fun. I'm sure they love that.
Yeah, we're very opposite. I don't know.
We're so different. I'm like the one, I like want love, and she's like, oh, I don't care if I never get married. I'm like,
no, I want to get married. I definitely like want kids. That's like the most important thing. I want to get married, but I just get scared of marriage.
What I think too is it's important is, the heartbreak, it's not fun. And especially if we experience heartbreak when, if there's any betrayal in it or disappointment or, when things, even in that level, I think when we're really into someone and they're not as into us is always kind of disappointing. But, it's really about trusting the universe, right? So if the universe pulls that person out of your life, it really is like, as much as we want to hang on and say, well, that's my soulmate, that's my person, I know it. The more we can let go and let the universe do its thing, that's going to help us heal from it. That's going to really give us an opportunity to release that pain, right? Because otherwise you're going to be blocking that relationship. I mean, I know I did for many years, and it wasn't until I just was like, wait a second, what am I doing? They're not coming back. Even if they did, I'm not so sure I'd want them. So I think when we really kind of do that perspective, right? So, that's really kind of where I'm going is our perspective on things and understanding, our perspective can shift, but your perspective, I think, can really manifest what you do or what you don't want. So it is kind of interesting, right? On what we look at things or how we shape things in our life. So
there's things that we put out there before where we've like spoke it out there in the world, and like things have either happened like that or they like haven't. Whatever we say, it's wild how that happened.
The words are powered. I will say I've been really angry at the universe before for removing certain people from my life. And at the time I was like you said, like, that's my soulmate, I can't go on. And then years go by and all those soulmates, if I would have ended up with them, my life would have looked so different. So that perspective of like, thank you, your universe, God, whatever it is. But at the time I'm like, universe, like why? But like, I feel like sometimes we know more. We think we know more than the universe does, but we don't.
Right.
But
exactly. Yeah, we think we have it all dialed in, and we don't.
We don't know any. We're like, we don't know.
But also, change the perspective on things. I feel like it's so interesting. They bring that up because someone said it's not about the situation. It's like the perspective and how you look at the situation. Because you can look at a really shitty situation, but you can have two different views on it. One that's more positive to find something great about the shitty time, or you can just, go down a spiral of like, this is shitty, this is bad for me. So I feel like perspective's everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And the idea, as you were saying before, when you were doing your gratitude journal, which is so important. I mean, we hear that all the time, right? We hear about gratitude, your gratitude, what are 3 things? But yet, we don't always keep up with it. You got to keep up with it, right? It's such a wonderful practice. It is such a wonderful daily practice, and just mindset, or if you're in something, that have a moment of gratitude, because that gratitude will also lead to manifestation, right? So what you're grateful for, you will bring more in. If there's something you want. So it's shifting perspective, and having gratitude will help us manifest as well. But I think it's important to sit with what values do you want in your partner, and to really sit, what does that partner look like on a value level, on a moral level? Because I feel like that's what's going to help you attract the right partner. Right? You're looking at the surface because it's all shiny and sparkly and really looks good. But I think if you were to go into what are the values, that's probably where things go awry. Right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's so true. And I actually, I've done this before. I've wrote out like a list of like what I'm looking for in someone. And I found that a lot of it was physical. So I was like, okay, stop being superficial. What are like the values? What kind of human do I want? Because like, look, I'm not going to look the same. He's not, we're all not going to look the same in 20, 30 years, So at the end of the day, you don't look so pretty. I got to like the person, and gel spiritually, mentally, all the things. So I really had to work on them. Be like, what's important? Not that he's 6'4" and likes Thai food. You know what I mean? So I agree with that.
it's interesting. You can have that, but just add in the core values. How are they when you get sick? You know, do they stand by you? Are they loyal? What does that look like for you? Do they want a family? If so, do they want children? How many? How do they feel about marriage? Anything like that, you know, because I tell you, from personal experience, you don't have to settle in the looks department to have the perfect guy. I mean, my husband is super hot. Like, he's hot. He is
hot.
I mean, I got really lucky. He's exactly in my mind who I wanted, exactly. And, you know, and we really align in so many ways. And, you know, not everything is perfect or easy. That's where that commitment comes in. That's where, you know, they're willing to do the work as much as you are. So, you know, you really can have it all, or at least most of it. You know?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes I'll meet someone and I feel like, oh, they can get there, or I can help.
Yeah. Yes.
They'll change, or like they could get there. And that's something too. Like, he has all of these qualities, but if he could just meet me here with these things. So that's like a tough thing too, because you could be a great person, but maybe those other things don't check off. So that's
right. Yeah, and the idea is if they don't want to put the effort or energy in to get there, if they're not working on themselves or working on the relationship, then it cannot succeed, right? It takes a village. So,
yeah.
And, you know, what's interesting is, Alexis, I feel like, now tell me if I'm wrong, because I really want to know this, being a control freak, and I am too, so are you the one like making all the ideas for the episodes? Is it kind of mostly you and your ideas or how you want it to look, or do we let Julia have a say in it?
Yeah, we let Julia have a say. Do I have a say?
Yes.
It's very fair. It's never been like there's no ego.
No, but she will say, like, yesterday, she said I communicated this wrong and you get frustrated with me because I don't understand your ideas and da-da-da-da. So, like,
yeah, but no, I think we kind of go like, I don't know, that it flows, if that makes sense. Like, business wise and friendship wise, it always, like, there's never been like you'll have ideas I don't like, I'll have ideas she doesn't like, but we're like, okay, yeah, she wants to do this, great, she wants to do this,
but you
great.
get frustrated
like,
with me
with your ideas,
just with in general. You get so mad whenever we're filming because you have a certain da-da-da-da and I'm not getting it. So I don't know that.
No, it's just because we have such different communication style. Yeah. So we're saying the same thing but communicating it differently. But she's saying, like, with ideas, like, there, I don't know, we will just like compromise. Like, I don't know. There's times I'm pumped up about them. She's like, I don't get it, but let's do it. Like, you're pumped, let's go.
Like, I don't
understand that, and like whatever works. As long as like it doesn't compromise our brand or will make us look bad, whatever. It's like, let's do it.
Well, I think what's great too is just kind of remembering, you know, the two of you having this relationship as best friends, and for the length of time you've had it, and really for having a business together, right? Your podcast is a business. So being co-owners of a business, you live together too, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
You live together. And I mean, so, right, there's no doubt, no matter what happens for both of you in your entire lives, never let anyone tell you that you don't know how to have a relationship, because you do, right? You absolutely do. So you can absolutely be in a healthy relationship where there is communication and there is ideas and there is forgiveness and there is understanding, right? And so what you have is really what makes the perfect marriage, what makes the perfect partnership, right? Even if it's not the same way we communicate, we're learning how to do it. What does my partner need? How do I do it, right? Because that happens all the time. So, you know, if anything, I hope that gives you both some confidence of, you know what, you are capable of having a healthy relationship. And if you can do it here, you can absolutely do it with a romantic partner, right? There's absolutely no reason you couldn't or shouldn't, right? So it's just knowing that it's there for you. It's just aligning vibrationally to the right partner and to the right person for you.
Love that. That's very reassuring. Like, I've never heard it put that way. It's so true. I feel like
it's so funny you say this, because the other day, our podcast episode was about like moving in with a best friend and how to make it work. So her and I kind of reflected on like, how did we make this work the last like 5 to 7 years we lived together? Yeah. Like the 5 or 7. It's like, but we were going through like, what have we done? These are some fights we've had, how we kind of got through it. And it was a cool reflection.
Yeah. But it's so true. It's like a marriage. I say the same thing. It's like a sisterly marriage thing. Like we literally go through everything a marriage would go through. There's moments when we're like, we can't do this. You know, and then there's moments of like, we have so much fun. I don't know. So it's true. We can have a relationship if we have this one.
Yeah. That's a good way to, I've never like really thought of it that way.
Wow. You're full of wisdom.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to, how about a quick reading? You guys want a quick reading?
Oh,
sure.
Want to read?
I will. She doesn't, but I will. I mean, just make it light.
Okay. Okay, let's see. So what's interesting, I feel like, Alexis, I feel like you're going to be doing more writing, which is really interesting. So I don't know if you write or thought about any writing, but I feel like you're coming up with another show idea. Like I feel like this is the premise of another idea that's going to be coming in for you. And I feel like it's going to be an idea that crosses over to either cable or maybe a YouTube show. There's something here where I feel like there's a new concept or a new show coming in for you. Is that something you've even thought about yet, or is it not on the radar?
Actually, with our YouTube, yeah.
Okay, great. Because I see that coming in and I feel like it does really well. I get the idea that it comes up and it does really well. I also see what's is interesting, and I want to say that this is a positive thing, so I don't want it to come across as a negative thing, okay?
Okay.
But I feel like the two of you will end up doing independent projects as well. So I feel like there's going to be a sense of both of you start to have a lot of success in independent projects, even though you always come back to do things together. So, but it feels like this passion, like each of you has a little bit of a different passion. And I feel like your passions are going to come forth and you're going to kind of put more energy into them. If I was allowed to read for Julia, I would tell her, but
you can do mine.
Okay. So Julia, for some reason, and I don't know if we talked about this last time, so you'll have to forgive me, but I keep feeling like you're going to be doing some acting or hosting. I'm not sure if that's something we brought up or didn't, but I feel like there's going to be a pull. I'm sorry.
I like it.
Okay. I feel like there's going to be a pull where, you know, there's going to be a part of that. So that's drawing you that way. But it is also interesting because I feel like this idea where the two of you are writing, like there's music, you're more writing, there's more producing. Like I see you guys producing, but I also feel like the show idea is really good.
I like
but
that.
It's just going to be interesting projects for both of you. Alexis, I really feel like someone's going to ask you to produce something. I really do.
Not because I said I produced the blue.
So
I loved it. What about our love lives? Or my love life, I should say.
Let's take a look.
Give me the love.
You know, I feel like in the next year, so when we say next year, that's a year from now, right? Within a year from now. So it's not January to January, it's a year from now. I actually feel like you become more open, I think, to romance. Like it feels like you actually make a shift to become more open. And I see someone really coming through, and even though you try to use humor to kind of block them, I feel like they see past it and they just keep pursuing you. Like I feel like they just keep hanging in there. And so it really starts to break down this kind of defense that you have up towards them. And it is someone who also I think is really great because they make you laugh a lot. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I feel like to have them make you laugh is going to be really good. And there's a lot of silliness in it, but it's a lot of fun. But it's also, you know, there is a deep commitment that I see in this relationship. So it does feel very strong. And I don't feel that you already know this person. So I'm not feeling like you know them. I feel like it's someone who you start to see more and more, like maybe through a project or something you're working on, but you kind of reconnect. And I just feel like you just go, oh, well, maybe that one. maybe. And so it's the first time I think you go, And I feel like when that happens, that's when it starts to really take off for you.
Wow, I'll take it.
Yeah. And ironically, I think what's so funny is, I really feel like, I see you with children, which I think is going to be really cool. So I see you, I do see you married. I do see you with kids. And I feel like for you, it's going to really give you such a grounding feeling. Like you're going to feel so secure in it. And it's really going to give you so much inner confidence to be just even kind of the 2.0 version of yourself. It's like, there's still like this kind of holding back, I feel like you do a little bit. And this security in this relationship is like all of a sudden you just start to kind of really grow, and it's going to be really fun. But I really feel like you're going to be quite the boss, like quite the bossy pants in life, in the relationship, but it's good. It just feels happy. It feels healthy for you.
I know it's not. I love that.
Yeah. Now, Julia, I just, I'm just going to be honest. Look, I'm going to be honest, right? I feel like I'm not seeing a serious partner for a little bit longer. But I do feel that it is someone that you meet. I actually do see him being tall and having dark hair. I do feel like he is good looking. But I see that you move slower with this person. Like this person, you're just like, you know what? I keep moving too far. I keep kind of throwing my heart in the ring. Like, I'm just going to go a little bit slower. And let's just see how that goes. And I feel like because of that, you start to have a deeper connection with this person. And you guys start to really get to know each other. And I feel like through that, you see a lot of things that you have in interest also. So there's a lot of common interests with this person that I think is really fun. But I also feel like this person is very creative. So I really feel like they're a creative person. I feel like they like to either perform or write, or there is something artistic about them as well. But it's nice because I feel like because it's the first relation, I feel like it's actually the first time you go, I'm going slower, is that it clicks and it works. And I feel like you two really become inseparable. I feel like once you're in a relationship, you're just so tight in it. So I feel like it's like, but it's going to be nice because I feel like this person grows with you. And I only feel like the thing about it is working on, I feel like just kind of working on some insecurities that you may have within the relationship and just working on them with this partner, because I feel like they will work on them so that the relationship itself is really strong, really healthy. And I feel like just communicating what you need from them is really what's going to help. It's going to be the game changer for you.
I love that. Oh,
yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. Thank you.
We'll see. You guys are going to have to show them on your podcast, right? We're going to have to reunite when we have it all together. Say, oh, this is
here's what's happening.
I get to meet them. Yeah. So I just want to thank you guys so much for coming on today, for sharing, for letting me do a little mini reading for you. It's really fun. But again, I love what you guys are doing. I love how, you really are having a ripple effect. You are making a difference. And I like that you're having fun while you do it. Continue to make it joyful. Have fun with it, right? And keep allowing that expansion, trusting yourselves, trusting that intuition, right? I think it's going to be really, really important because that's guiding you on the next steps that I'm talking about with you guys. And take the chances, right? It's time to start taking chances. And I feel like that's going to be so good for you guys once you do. Like, you know what? We're going for this. We're going for this. And don't worry about it being perfect, Alexis. Okay? Like, let go of perfection.
That's a problem.
Tell everybody where they can find you, please. Your social, your podcast.
So For our socials, we're everywhere at Heartland Ray, HEARTLYNRAE. And for our podcast stuff, it's just at Excuse My Friend.
Great, great. I want to thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys. And please have a wonderful day. And I can't wait to see you guys again.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Colby Rebel Show. Be sure to follow Colby on social media at Psychic Rebel. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, please head on over to iTunes to leave a review to help Colby grow the tribe. Colby is an international psychic medium, teacher, best-selling author, and speaker. She is a master teacher of the Lisa Williams International School of Spiritual Development and is the owner of the Colby Rebel Spirit Center in Los Angeles. Visit colbyrebel.com.